Good morning. It's great to be with you guys this morning. We had a little bit of coffee and a whole lot of Jesus. Oh, I'm looking for my coffee. It's over here.
Gotta have that.
We gotta have that. So it's great to be with you guys this morning. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. We're out here this morning at a Table Rock Fellowship, and I'm here with a great friend of mine, Jeremy Oliveria. And I met this guy out here Saturday night in the cafe, and him singing worship. He's the new worship director over here, and we're so excited to have him this morning on Knowing Jesus here, sharing with us live out here. We had a few delays getting kids to school, and
yes, we did,
in the cool morning and dropping them off. But we're here now with you, and we're excited to be here to speak of all the wondrous things of the Lord and how good He is. And so, real excited. Jeremy's gonna share with us with some song here, opening up, and then we're gonna go into just talking and sharing about his life and kind of the mission and the things that Jesus is doing with this guy. It's really radical. Turns out when we got to know each other that we went through school of ministry and some of the things that Applegate Fellowship years ago at the same church. So really excited, Jeremy.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for
You want to grab that guitar and
yeah,
bust out some praises for us? Let's see here.
awesome.
Shadows deepen, we do. But do you know that all the dark won't stop the light from getting through? We do. Do you wish that you could see it all, baby?
Yeah. I'll do here's a song I wrote during a pretty rough patch. Just like a lot of depression and anxiety. This is beginning of COVID 2020. My wife was pregnant with our third kid. And so that first, I just lost a friend in like a horrific car accident. And COVID started, and it was really, especially that first month, there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainties. And my wife was like 8 months pregnant. And so I was already working on a record at that time. Kind of processing, just a lot of like hard things, like the the struggles of life, and really, it was a really dark season. And so there's this famous book called The Hiding Place about Corrie ten Boom. Have you heard of that book?
Yeah.
So impactful for me.
Wow.
And there was something she had written, like a poem. And do you need or no? Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the poem goes, "Hide me in the center of your will. There's no pit on earth that's been dug so deep that you're not deeper still. Fill me like your hand would fill a glove." And then I think I paraphrase this for the song, but no matter what this world may bring, I'm hidden in your love. And so I had that chorus inspired like almost word for word from one of her poems. And during that time of like, I had so much anxiety the first few weeks of COVID with my wife being pregnant and just like, what is this thing? When everything got shut down, I had to fall asleep, like listening to scripture is the only way I could like actually go to sleep.
Wow.
And so this song was written out of that. I literally recorded it. I had brought a bunch of gear from my studio at my house because we kind of hunkered down for a while. So I wrote and recorded most of the song in my bedroom during the COVID times. It's called Hiding Place.
There's a voice that doesn't listen to the shadows, the kind of light that can't be rattled. There's an honest wave of mercy coming down as I limp along. I lost the fight, my knees gave way, but all the nights still turned to daybreak. It wasn't on my shoulders, I guess someone else was holding on to. So deep
Absolutely beautiful. I'm not sure if my voice is picking up, so.
Is that the right one?
Yeah. Cool. So we're sharing a mic this morning with the guitar and my mic over here. Praise the Lord. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah.
I love that phrase, to hide me in the center of your will.
Oh, yeah.
Just so much insight to your music. This morning, I woke up and the Lord had put Psalm chapter 105 on my heart for us today. Verse 1, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord and call upon his name and make known his deeds among the people. Sing to him and sing psalms to him. Talk of all the wondrous works. Speak of all the wondrous works. Glory in his name. Let the hearts of those rejoice who seek the Lord. Seek the Lord in his strength. Seek his face forevermore. And remember his marvelous works, which he has done, and his wonders." And the Lord has done so many marvelous things in our lives, and we want to give thanks to him this morning. We want to call upon his name and to make known his deeds, what he's done in our lives. We want to make it known to you guys out there and to everybody and everywhere. We want to not be ashamed of the gospel. We want to sing in psalm, he says, the psalmist, of his wondrous works and bring glory to his name and let the hearts rejoice. And that's what we're doing this morning, is we're just going to keep going in music here and rejoicing. And Jeremy, how did you come to know the Lord and get to where you're sitting here today as the worship director?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been quite a path. I know mine was.
Oh, yeah.
How I got on a chair here talking to you guys it's been quite the road.
Yeah.
You want to share with them
Absolutely.
about yourself a little more?
So I'm gonna give you the Cliff Notes version. Grew up I was homeschooled in the '90s, Christian home.
Oh, a 90s
Great
kid.
parents, '90s kid.
Watch out.
The '90s were great for me.
Yeah.
And grew up around, in church my whole life. Have great parents. And I, from a very, very early age, my mom put me in piano lessons.
Oh, wow.
And I actually hated them. I really did not like them. I liked playing, but I hated having to learn the pieces. But it wasn't until I saw Jesus Freak Live by DC Talk. It was a concert documentary, and it changed my whole life. From that point on, I was like, that's all I want to do. I just want to make music. And so there was definitely a fire that was birthed in me, and I was, I think, 6.
Was that Toby Mac?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Toby Mac, Michael Tate, Kevin Max, the glory days. They have a bunch of Beatles covers they did on that. So it holds up even to this day. I listen back to it and I'm like, man, this is killer. And so at that point, there definitely was such a hunger for music, and I started playing guitar lessons. It was all I wanted to do. And yeah, so I grew up, yes, in culturally surrounded by Christianity, but I probably around 13 really started before that. Me and my dad, who were great now, but we had a lot there was a lot of friction, and
the age where you start to think you know everything.
Oh yeah.
What?
I think I started early on that. Yeah. No, yeah. So I, 13, 14, 15, started to be, my parents were trying, but definitely rebellious. And when I got my license, that's when things really started to, partying, smoking weed. Was engaged for a hot minute in that time to this girl. as a teenager.
Wow.
And then when we called that off, actually it was like 30 days before the wedding, which is just so awful. That is when I really started to spiral. And so I ended up getting this, I was playing with, trying to play with bands, but I got roped into through this job I was working, where it was just not a great group of people, and I should say they were all very lost. And so basically, whoever wasn't working that day would acquire drugs for whoever was working, and then we'd party every night, whatever we can get our hands on.
Wow.
And so that was like, my life started to fall apart very fast. And then my parents were able to get me into a YWAM, Youth with a Mission. There was a base I'd been to a few times in the Dominican Republic, and so I ended up going there, and that was kind of, a valiant effort by my parents to try to, get me out of the lifestyle that I was in. And I knew I didn't want to, continue. I was living in my truck, and it was still there was a lot of novelty to it, it hadn't quite got to the really bad part of, I wasn't an addict yet. I was more just recreationally using everything all the time. But, and then, so I ended up, going there, and for 6 months in the Dominican Republic, or I think 5 months in the Dominican Republic, 1 month in Peru. And it was actually a really great time, but I remember all these, it's a Latin culture, so you have 5, 6 hour, 7 hour church services.
Whoa.
And for someone who, at that point, I would sit there and we'd be, late into the night, and there's people all around me, and they're just worshiping God and praying and crying. And I would sit there and try to kind of okay, God, if you're real, I want to, I want you to prove it, kind of thing. And that was a really dark time, actually, because it would be for hours, just feeling nothing, completely empty. And so then came back from there, and my parents had bought me a Vanagon, a Volkswagen Vanagon, as hey, start, restart, reset, live a life, here's a car, and there's a couple, I think a month and a half, where I was okay, I'm gonna, do good, and then I started hanging out with the same friends, and then that's when things started to get wild. And so the next 2 years was just a continual spiral downward, eventually full-blown heroin addiction.
Whoa.
And so that was, I was 19, 20, and this is, I'm trying to think of Cliff Notes. Okay, so then I had gotten there was one spell where I'd gotten clean, and it was at the time getting clean was just smoking weed and drinking. That, I was I'm doing good. I was enrolled in school, had some jobs, and then very, very shortly after relapsed, and it was just weighed 120 pounds, just to the point where I'm stealing stuff. It was not good.
Oh.
And so then at this point, there was a beautiful human being that there's been two of them that were really instrumental in this, but one was a guy by the name of Kobe Brosser. Shout out to Kobe. And he, long story short, we somehow reconnected. And the last time I had seen Kobe, I had sold him drugs. So I had no idea that he had this radical change, because he met Jesus. and was living at the mission actually, Carmen Sudan, for like a couple years.
Oh, wow.
And so somehow we connected. I saw something he posted on MySpace, of all things. And he was like talking to another friend. He's like, hey man, when are you going to get your life right? And I'm like, okay, dude, you're wanting to talk. And then ended up reaching out to him. I just felt compelled to. And I even called him. I was like, I don't even know why I'm calling you, dude. This is kind of weird. I haven't talked to you for years. He's like, let's meet up. And so we met up, and I just was like, dude, I'm a junkie, and I'm gonna die. I don't want to die, but I don't really want to stop. Like I'm in this. And at that point, I think I moved back in with my parents. And he's like, what about going down to the mission to Mexico? And I was like, that seems like a really bad idea. I think this is where my drug of choice is coming from. And so, but 11 days later, I was down there, and that 11-day period was literally like battle for my soul. So every day, because I was physically like addicted, so I'd start to have withdrawals and get like dope sick.
Oh.
And so every day when I started to started to withdraw, I would go figure out some way to get high, and then I would come back super contrite and like, I'm so sorry, I won't do it again, to like my parents and stuff. And so, I mean, that dude, Kobe, like pursued me. Like he literally pulled me out of houses. He like was just like the Lord's vessel to like pursue me. And then it all kind of culminated in, I think this was maybe 4 days before I was supposed to go down there. I decided I wasn't going. I'm like, I'm not gonna go. And so I like made up this story that my mom was like in Fred Meyer. I was like, hey man, just drop, if you drop me off, my mom's in there, I'll meet her in there. He's like, okay. So he drops me off, and I'm actually meeting this girl, and we're getting in the car with these dealers, we're going to Portland, and I was like, I'm leaving. I'm leaving Medford. I'm just gonna go live up there. It's easier to get drugs. And then so I go, and I'm like running to the back entrance of Fred Meyer's, where like this girl's waiting, and with these dealers, and this is how Kobe tells a story later. He heard a voice say to him, "Get up right now and walk in that store." So he gets up, walks to the store, and he'll literally tell you, like he heard a voice say, "Turn left, take a right, go straight, go back." And right as
GPS.
Yeah, dude.
God's GPS
it's
was on
nutty. And so right as I was about to walk out of that back door, and Kobe's like taller than me, a hand on my shirt pulls me back.
Whoa.
Like he got me right before I got to and he's like, "You're coming with me, man." And this girl's like, yeah, it was.
It's like Jesus said he leaves the 99 to go.
100%, dude. 100%.
He was pursuing you.
Oh man. So at that point, he grabs me, takes me to where my mom actually is. She's at a mutual friend or at a friend's house.
Wow.
And so he drops me off there. I'm in the front room. My mom's like with her friend, and I'm thinking about, like I need to go get high. So I'm like concocting my next plan.
Oh.
And this beautiful lady comes in, Kathy Smith, and she like closes the door behind her. She like sits down. Can I pray for you? And I'm like, yeah, knock yourself out. Like I've been prayed for thousands of times. And she starts praying, and I'm sitting at this table, and she's a pretty intense woman. Like when she's praying, she's getting all like Pentecostal, and literally there is a surge of anger that rushes through my body to where I actually wanted to take her head and smash it on the table. Ooh. Like I just felt it was like so visceral, so almost like overwhelming. And then in that moment, I had this crazy fear of myself, and I'm like, am I possessed? Like what is going on? And then I just had this moment where it was like the reality, and I couldn't have articulated it in the moment of of God's, like the reality of who God is and the existence of a creator. Like it was just like a veil, like on my mind was like ripped open, and then I literally started repeating. She was having me repeat this prayer from Romans 6. Started repeating the things she was saying, and then all of a sudden I felt just this waterfall of like peace and love, like just rush over my whole body.
Wow.
And it was like, that was definitely the moment like that I met the Lord. And it was like, and she was still praying, and I like put my hand on her shoulder. I'm like, no, it worked. And so that was the moment that I first really experienced like him.
You saw the light.
Saw the light. And so 3 days later, I was down in Mexico. And at the time, one of the directors was like an ex-heroin addict.
Oh, wow.
And so like he was like, it was so awesome. He was able to just like walk me through it. And I didn't even have withdrawals.
What?
The withdrawals went away.
You were healed?
Oh man, it was crazy. Yeah, I couldn't sleep very well for a while, but like no, like I was not sick. So I spent 6 months down there, and then that's where I started to get to know Jesus personally. Beautiful place. Have you been down there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So epic. And those kids, man,
The orphans.
they literally like, sat in hundreds of church services in my life, and those kids taught me more like in those first few months than any sermon. It was just about the profound nature of the love of God.
I think of Saul that was completely running against the ways of God, and then
Yeah.
the light of Jesus came, and he saw that bright light and blinded him and knocked him to the ground. And then he was led away to the with Ananias, and then he went to the wilderness place.
Oh yeah, man.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
your story. We all have different testimonies, and for some of us, it's not this big flash or light, or it's just we come to Jesus in different ways. But for you, sounds like it was a kind of a Saul experience, that he just woke you up, and then he kind of led you into that desert place
Yeah, it was like,
to continue that healing.
he snatched me.
Yeah, pulled you from
Yeah,
the
it was.
fire.
I really can say like I did not choose him. Like he literally graciously. It's like a kid running to the street. Like what
Yeah.
I do with my kids sometimes. Like I'm not angry at them, but I will yell. To be like, hey,
Yeah.
and then I will grab them and pull them back from the street, and that's literally how it felt. And then
That is so awesome.
into like just this loving embrace where, and honestly, one of the things that in Mexico it was so difficult. I was just talking to my buddy about this yesterday. But I felt my whole life was obsessed with being like a rock and roll musician. I felt like God asked me to give that to him, and just be like, and be fully okay being obscure, fully okay if I never picked up another instrument. Like he is enough. Like, and I literally knew I had to give it up to him. It was a painful day. It was like super. I felt like a really bad breakup or something, and so I just was like, Lord, you are enough. If I never do anything with music, like that's okay.
Laid it on the altar.
Laid it down.
I think of Isaac and how Abraham told him to put it on the altar, to give up your only son.
Oh man.
But then he gave his son back to him. And
Yeah.
it's like you laid down the most precious thing, and God's now, look what he's done with doing in your life.
It is so humbling. Yeah. So
Well, you can rock and roll here for us
oh, thanks, man.
with Jesus.
Yeah.
We're loving it, man.
Dude,
Praise God.
It's kind of crazy, even honestly, that the Lord opened this door. So I, after the mission, ended up actually touring for like a couple years, and was working with like it was like an indie Christian label, and so got to do that, and it was awesome experience.
Christian music industry.
Yeah,
Music.
but I think I got pretty. I wanted to write like, honest songs, and I think there's some of the I mean, I love some CCM stuff, but Christian contemporary stuff. But there was like I got pretty disillusioned with like the lack of honesty in that whole like scene. From like a business perspective, not my the people I was working with were great, but yeah, I was just kind of like I just wanted to talk about Jesus, and like it was yeah. So I'm trying to think of what for the sake of time. Anyways, so did that, and it was we even had like some like cool opportunities opening up. I was in Nashville playing at this conference, and I was praying in my hotel room before I went down there, and I was like, Lord, you know, what do you want me to do? Prepare me for for doing this thing. And He told me one of the clearest times God's spoken to me, where He said, "You're an eclipse right now. Like my glory can be seen around the edges of you, but your ego is blocking what I actually want to do in you."
Oh.
So humbling. And when the Lord speaks, even if it's like a harsh, like it's still filled with so much peace, and you're like, yes, okay, I receive this. Went down there, and it was crazy. Like I sang the song, and it was like I saw the reaction in people. It wasn't like, oh, he's got a good voice or whatever. It was like, oh, I saw the Lord. I saw like a metaphysical change in the room. And that was like a really powerful moment of like, oh, that's what I want to do. I don't want to just like sing and like play. Like I want to be that kind of tool.
To magnify the Lord.
Like and just like that was so rad. It was like nothing I could have done, and people were like,
wow,
coming up to me, and it wasn't like, you're good or whatever, but it was like, what was that? I'm like, that was Jesus. And so, anyways, long story short, how are you doing on time, by the way?
We're running over a little bit.
Okay.
That's okay.
I'll summarize.
Yeah.
Basically, ended up coming back, stopped touring. My manager graciously let me out of the contract, and which is insanely amazing. And then got a job at Applegate. Like they called me for this, like to go live back at the house behind the church with like Xavier Brasser, Jake Sertain, Nick Griffin, if you remember Nick at all. And so then I was there for a year, doing music, and then even I did some of the like grounds, which was really fun, like up at the mountaintops, just like, you know, trimming hedges and stuff. And then met my wife there. Met her from the day I met her to when I got married, 6 months, and then worked at another church for about 10 years. And during that time, we had a couple recording studios at the church, and that's something that I've always loved, is like making records. And so that grew. Got to spend a ton of time like honing my skills and working with tons of like artists. We even had like a Christian like ministry kind of record label they were trying to do. And then during that time played with a band called Pilgrim Song for about 5 years, and we got to do a bit of touring, and that was during my time at the church. And then stepped out of that, and then went and the Lord opened this door for my wife and I to get this property with my parents, where my dad builds cremation urns. Like he's been doing that for a long time. So he needed a spot. I needed a place to, build a studio. And so there was this awesome property that had these 2 buildings as a rental. And so that in 21 or 22, we built that. So then I've just been producing full-time for a couple years. And then during that time, my daughter has special needs, my oldest daughter. I have 3 kids, and she had a brain surgery because she has epilepsy. And so that was during 22 into 23. So that was like pretty rough time because we're
Trials.
Oh man.
Oh man.
But the Lord like carried us through, just in so many ways, and I'm even really grateful now for the. I mean, I think sometimes as Christians we can spiritually bypass things with like spiritual sayings.
Unknown caller.
But genuinely, I'm grateful for that time because it actually showed me like another part of Jesus that I had not experienced, like the true comforter in like such pain and suffering and watching your kids suffer. So that was awesome. And then, she had like 11 months, seizure free, and then they came back. And so, long story short, the Lord opened this door at Table Rock, and I didn't think I would take a role like this again, ever, after I stepped out of the last job.
Formal ministry
Or just doing
position.
Yeah, I love producing, but this has been an awesome, incredible experience so far, and it has been an answer to prayer for my family, for my schedule. I get to be home more consistently. I was working at late hours all the time, surrounding business, and so the studio still exists, but he opened this door, and it has been just a gift from the Father, truly.
So Jeremy is a worship pastor and worship director here at Table Rock, and they have a Friday night service or a Saturday night service here each week, and Sunday mornings. And the Saturday night they start opening around 5 o'clock. They have a gorgeous cafeteria here with food, and the dinner is free or by donation if you choose to give something towards the cost of the food, but there's no obligation to give. And then at 6 p.m. the worship starts. Usually Jeremy's playing up here with the band, and it is phenomenal and such a blessing. So even if you're going to another church or you don't even have a church, Saturday nights are great because we go to different churches, and but we come here on Saturday night a lot. I tease that it's an inexpensive date night for me and my wife.
Oh yeah.
But we bring the kids when we have them, and everybody comes and rocks out with Jeremy and worships the Lord, and the tables are open for communion, and it's just a rich time. And so if you're attending another church, Applegate or Calvary Chapel or Baptist or Presbyterian or whatever you are, this program's not to get people to leave their church, but to come and see all the good things God is doing in all the different parts of the church. And if you're like, hey, I love my church on Sundays, but you're not busy on a Saturday night, feel free to come on out and check it out here, even if you're a member of a different place, because you could see Jeremy in person and Pastor Victor and see Jesus. That's really what we want you to see. But just, concluding things, because we kind of went long, I'm going to have him share one or two more songs.
Okay, yeah.
But I want to say this about everything Jeremy shared. That was so awesome. Couple verses that come to mind for Jeremy is the Lord says that I will restore all the years that the cankerworm and the locusts, that they came and devoured and ate away. And I will restore all the years to you that the locust hath eaten. That we have a God of restoration, and that his gifts and callings on our lives, they're not revocable. You're looking at two very broken men here, kind of similar stories. I was never a full-blown heroin addict, but I had other things I was chasing in my life for a while besides Jesus, and sin and just a worldly path. And as the prodigal wandered down away from the Father, it says that he went into a far country and that he became in want. for those of us that were growing up around the ways of the Lord in a Christian home like Jeremy and I, when you get out there, you just end up empty and broken. And like Peter said, you alone have a life, Jesus. But when we come back to him, his gifts and callings are not revocable. God's not going to take away the call on our life. And when we surrender to him and he heals us, when he took the prodigal in, he put shoes on his feet, a robe around him, and he fell on him and kissed him and he covered his shame. But then he put a ring on his finger. He gave him the authority back to operate in the things of God. And God uses all kinds of messes and he turns them into miracles. And he uses our story and the broken things in our life. And it says that many believed when they saw Lazarus, the one who Jesus had raised from the dead. Lazarus, we don't have very many words that he ever said or any great sermons he ever preached. But many believed because they saw the one that was raised from the dead. And your life, Jeremy, it radiates God's restoration and how he never gives up on his people. That we're always his son and he's waiting for us to come back close to him. So wherever you're at today, if you've lived a life of drug addiction, sex addiction, alcoholism, whatever it is, and you've known the Lord at one point in your life, it says that you once who were afar off, Ephesians 2:13, have now been brought back near by the blood of Jesus. And so you can come back home today. If that's you, just reach out, message us after this. We'd be glad to pray with you. It's great to see Ellie and Susan. Good to see you, Mom, Serena, Rob, all you guys watching this morning. And just closing out with one verse, and then we'll put him for a few songs here. Wonderful testimony that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony. It's irrefutable how Jesus has touched and healed this man's life. And he says, Jeremy, that I know the thoughts that I think towards you. Thoughts of peace. Peace with your daughter with the brain surgery. Peace with all the broken things that he's healed in your life. Peace for hope and for a future. He has a future that you're walking in. And it's awesome to see you walking in that and to be your friend and your brother and to walk with you. And so thank you for sharing today with us.
Yeah.
We're just going to close out with a couple of songs. And I'm going to unplug me. And then just when you're done, Jeremy, just amen and God bless you guys. Okay.
All right, man.
You're ready to rock and roll.
Let's see, what am I going to play? Let me just tune it real fast here.
The guitar's like the owner. Can't hold a tune. It's my guitar.
Yeah. Okay, let's do this one. it was awesome to be here. Thanks for the invite. One more song.
You want one more?
One more. Let me think here.
And tell them about Friday night.
Oh yeah, so we're doing this worship thing.
It's new, right?
New, yeah. The next one, it's a worship night. It's about an hour of worship in here in the auditorium at Table Rock. And we just started this. So the next one's October 17th. And it will be very fun. We just did one.
Is it once a month?
Once a month. We're doing them for the next 3 months, and then we'll kind of see if we keep doing it after Christmas. But for the next, we have 2 more of them. Worship night. It's fun. It's definitely loud. Just forewarning.
Come on out.
Come on out. Let me think here.
Let's close us out with one more song.
Yes. Sorry, I need a little more coffee. Let's do. Let's do this old worship tune. Simple.
In the morning, when I rise, in the morning, when I rise, in the morning, when I rise, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Give me Jesus. Oh, and when I am alone. Oh, and when I
Thanks, guys. It's been awesome. God bless y'all. Tune in to, what's the next one? Tomorrow. Oh.
Knowing Jesus, we'll be back Monday morning.
Monday morning. Tune in Monday.